first thing you need to be able to do is to say what's already going on. That's quite important. Having found out what, or discovered what's already going on, perhaps the next thing to do is start asking people what they'd like to do. I don't think that's an easy thing to do either. I think that that is the start of an ongoing relationship with a group of children, and you need to keep asking them and coming back. They often know what they don't want to do, but they don't always know what they do. And I think also, if we're being practical and realistic about it, we need to know that it's a group of children rather than just what any one individual might want to do. The second way in which the community can get involved in knowing what activities it may want to do is to talk to somebody like Lucy Britton, who's just been appointed to work in Chapeltown and Harehills, putting on services for young children and perhaps their families as well. I think a good idea would also be to go and talk to those people who are delivering many of the services that already exist. Go have a talk to them, ask them about what they think needs to be done, and tell them your views as well. Other good people to talk to, I think, who are involved in this area, the youth services, who've had a long-standing involvement in community work with young children. People like Manny, who has worked and lived in this area for quite a long time, knows many of the children, and will be able to help and direct them towards productive activities that the children may want to get involved with. Two other things that strike me would be perhaps reference to the family hub, which is an online directory. You can get it in hard copy, but that's got a huge number of activities that already go on in the area that people simply aren't aware of and maybe need to find out about before they start asking for the same thing to be replicated. And I think one other very important way in which the community can start to get involved is perhaps celebrating the success of many of the things that are already underway. Chapeltown and Harehills has got a tremendous reputation for putting on celebration events, and I think that would open up a whole avenue for people to get involved in promoting what might happen next after that. Well, I think sadly, unfortunately, one of the key aspects of it is adversity. Very little tends to strengthen a community as much as when the community is being dissed and put down by other people. I think diversity can often be seen as a barrier, and yet when you sit down and talk to people and engage in a conversation with them, you find that everybody really wants the same 4 or 5 things for their children. So one of the things we've got to be doing is looking forward and focusing on children is a great way of doing that. I think when you start to look at what's being termed the 5 outcomes, we would all want our children to be happy, to be safe, to be healthy, and to be successful. And I don't know anybody really who would look at anything different to that. I think people from the community itself is a tremendous advantage. It's very difficult to make a community cohesive if you don't have people who are living in that community who understand all the different aspects that are operating within it. And the thing that goes hand in glove with that is stability. Those same people being around for a long period of time. Children are asked to dip in and out of relationships, particularly in school, with teachers on a 6-month or yearly basis. In order to really impact on children, some of the people that we're talking about here will need to be around for a significant number of years in order to really drive home those messages and be seen to continually support the children as they change. Starting from a point of 5 outcomes, I'm seeing a government now beginning to move towards a 6th outcome being identified as a sense of belonging. And as people move about so frequently in their lives these days, I think that's a major barrier. We'd really want to get to a stage where a community has at its core a very large number of people who've been living in that area for some significant time and not just simply moving through it. It's somewhat ironic sat here in front of a camera, but I think the media itself is one of the barriers, and some of the negative messages that are put out by the media certainly don't help community cohesion. Conversely, it can be a very powerful tool and can help us enormously. So I think maybe the media itself sometimes needs to question its values. It would be absolutely crucial that the community has got all of the key services that it needs and readily accessible as well. And without getting too political about it, I don't think we can ignore the role of both local and central government in providing all of those services for the tax-paying public within the community. For example, it may well be a reasonable thing to expect a high school for all of the children who live in Chapeltown and Harehills. For example, it does seem an extra big task to create community cohesion in an area where all of the children get to 11 and then have to be transported or seemingly passported out beyond the community to fulfil all of their compulsory education. Another aspect I think we mustn't overlook is advertising and promotion. I'm very, very conscious that there's a tremendous amount of things that go on in Chapeltown and Harehills that I don't know about, and it's quite likely, if I don't find out about those, I'm going to ask people to waste time and money repeating things that already exist. I think perhaps finally one of the more difficult things to accept is time and attitude are absolutely crucial to everything we're talking about here. We have such busy lives, but if we get the opportunity to spend time getting to know one another and reduce the amount of isolation and feeling of powerlessness that people have in the communities, that will help tremendously. Just to throw an example in, I was decorating the other day. Out of my bedroom window I could see a neighbour sat on the doorstep who got locked out, a pile of shopping by her side, and was obviously waiting for somebody to come home and let her in. And I just went out and asked if she wanted to come and have a cup of coffee and sit in the warmth. And I'm not famed for my hospitality, but that was just seen as a simple and obvious thing to do. And half an hour later, I'm sure I knew that neighbour an awful lot better, and it supported her in a way that was really cost me no money, just a little bit of time, and was the sort of thing that would have just gone on automatically 20 or 30 years ago. Something that I've seen operate over a period of time working in other parts of the city has been really a commitment, a twofold commitment, to go out and work with people and say two things really. One is that we want to come and support you, and we're not coming here to tell you what to do. We're coming here to support you and ask you what you think needs to be done, and then help you to achieve that. And then secondly, to say no matter what goes on, we're still going to be here. We are committed to staying here for the long haul, all the way through the journey, and although we would hope that the interactions perhaps get more and more infrequent as time goes on, and that you're able to support yourselves more, that we will continue to be there for however long you may need somebody to talk to, somebody to come round and help and support, or somebody just really to kick off with and have a good shout at and around because you've got that frustrated. And I think as friends, that's something that we are more than happy to be able to provide for you.